giant stuffed animal.
Time change too.
2 basketballs.
Time change caught me.
Time change caught you. Okay.
That's funny.
We're going to start in 1 minute. I just got to load up my other recording machine because we always got to have a
Got there at
backup.
11 o'clock, according to my watch.
Okay.
The wrong 11 o'clock. The second one.
Okay, let me just get my books out. Okay. I think it was Kitab. We get there. Okay. Okay, let's start. Okay, testing 1, 2, 3. All right. So we're on class 10 in creating angels. Very exciting stuff that we've been talking about because we're all basically on the topic of what the statement of the Baal Shem Tov mentions. Wherever your thoughts are, that's where you are. And we can't integrate that enough. Believe me, because we lose track. We get caught up, right? And then you have to understand, where are my thoughts? Where are my thoughts? Where are my thoughts? Where do you want to be? Okay? And of course, the simple explanation is, why is that? Wherever my thoughts are, that's where I am, is because our thoughts are a garment for our soul. Our essence is really our soul. And we spoke about being in another place, either in space, time, or consciousness. We know that creation is divided into 3 categories, 3 divisions. Creation, space, time, and consciousness. Okay? Nowadays, I think their nuclear physicists are saying it's space-time, right? They're bunch it together, and that's beyond my understanding, so I'm not going to go there. I'll stick with Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Formation, that says it's space, time, and consciousness. So we talked about space, where are you? We talked about time, where are you? Right? Are you in the future? Are you in the past? We go a little bit over that, but then we're talking about consciousness. And I got an interesting, really interesting text that starts off with, really the understanding was that we're getting into the concept of that the prophet Elisha, the Shunammite woman, if I say it right? Shunammite, right? This woman who basically, when he was traveled by her town, made for him, she saw that he was a really holy man. And so she says, listen, every time you travel into town, I got a space for you. You can always stay here, you and your servants, So she built either a loft or another room, right? But anyways, he had a place to stay, because how did she recognize, they asked, that he was a holy man? So one of the ways was that there was not a fly seen at his table. That was like the windows open, it's 180 degrees outside, there's chicken on the table, and potatoes, or whatever, green beans, and all kinds of food. And, there's not one little, you don't hear that. Didn't see it. And he's just sitting there chilling out. And she's like, this is weird, because as soon as he goes, they come like flies. They are flies, okay? So the idea really here is, I'm going to bring you the language from the original text from Ben Porat Yosef, who was written by his main student, okay, the Toldos Yaakov Yitzchak of Polonia. So he brings this down. It's kind of dynamic. That's why I wanted to share this with you today, okay? He says, why, it's an interesting thing, why do we say there was not a fly seen on the table of Elisha? So he says, Lafi shemachshavto shel adam kach, right? According to the thought of a person, kach yesh olamot lamala mimenu ha'omdim alav. So thus there are the worlds that are above him, standing over him. So here we get an introduction to the dimensions that are above us, worlds. They say olamot. The world for olam, a lot of times, is the same root as elam. Elam, which means hidden. Interesting. How the same word for olam is elam, hidden. Well, what is that? Why is that? Interesting. World, hidden. Well, the idea really is that every dimension really is a certain mask hiding God's providence. It's hiding God. Because you can't see God directly. God needs a mask. You need to filter. So an olam is really a name of a filter. So if you really want to change it, right, you'll change it to filter. But here, the way we always classically understand it is it's talking dimensions. That there are dimensions in realms that we cannot see. We are existing in other dimensions.
Like a parallel dimension.
Right? Parallel dimensions. You exist in another world. That's right. There's another you in another world. I hope he's nice. Not like that evil Mr. Spock in Star Trek with the goatee. My favorite episode. Okay? You know it. Okay? In any case, sorry to flash from the past. But just as a man thinks, that so are the worlds that are above him standing on him. He goes this. Imach shavto, if his thoughts are in kedusha, are in holiness and ruchani and spirituality, kach hem ha'olamot shelamala mimenu. Thus are the worlds that are above from him. Ve'imach shavto betuma, and if his thoughts are in tuma, literally they translate tuma as defilement. That's the literal translation, but I don't use that word anymore. Tuma means lack of life energy. Okay? As we know, there are different degradations of a lack of life energy. Look at it, everything is energy, right? So there's either life force, life energy, or there's the lack thereof. Right? So the classic lack of life energy, we'll call it tuma, is a dead lizard, okay, that falls from the ceiling into your chillent. Okay, sorry. It could be whatever, any pot, okay? All of a sudden it's dead. It's dead, right? That is tuma. That is lack of life energy, right? That's on one extreme. Women on their cycle is a lack of life energy because there's potential life that could have existed, and therefore it's in its way of flowing out. It's not that women are unclean, okay? It means there's a lack of life energy there, okay? And we say the worst of the tuma, energies of tuma, is a dead body. A dead corpse, right? When its soul leaves it, of course, nature abhors a vacuum. And when nature abhors a vacuum, instantly when that soul leaves, instantly is vacated, is sucked into it, the forces of darkness, we'll call it. A lack of life energy. It was a great sense of life because it was a living thing. It was a human. And now it's not. So therefore, that lack of life energy is an extreme, the most extreme lack of life energy. Okay? So if a person's thoughts are in holiness and spirituality, and we'll talk about that. What is that? What does that mean? Holiness. What is Kedusha? So then the worlds above him stand above him like that. And if a person's thoughts are in tuma, we'll call it defilement for now, so thus are the worlds that stand above him. Kind of a bizarre kind of idea when you think about it, okay? It's not the worlds, they're just there. It seems like because God made everything in a duality. Everything is dual. For everything, there's its counterpart. Zulu matzu asa Elokim. Hashem made every single thing in the levels of holiness. He made the exact same things in the level of darkness. Has to be an equal. There has to be potential for light, potential for darkness. I remember seeing a statement. I really need to go find that statement. It was kind of a really bizarre statement, and I don't know if I'm going to give it justice, but I'm going to give it my best shot. The Lubavitch Rebbe, he said, in remarking to the fact that, there was all these atom bombs, Cold War. And he says, it's amazing. But he says, listen to this. Just like if a person can push one button and destroy a world, a person can push a button and build a world. Okay? It's because of this principle. Because of this principle. For everything that is in the side of holiness, there is in the side of darkness. And anything that's in the side of darkness, there is in the side of holiness. It always works like that. Okay? So, but here it's kind of weird because if the worlds that stand above a person depend upon his thoughts. If his thoughts are in holiness, so the worlds that stand above him, almost like shifting or lined up or taking that form, are going to be the worlds of holiness. But if a person's thoughts are in a lack of life kind of energy, let's just get negativity. Negative, right? Such negative thinking. You're such a pessimist, Rabbi, right? Okay, so, but if he thinks negative in Tuma, so thus are the worlds. And according to his machshava, ukafi ha-machshava ha-lamot, and according to his machshava, his thoughts, and the worlds, so thus will pass before him in the physical birds which are pure or birds which are impure. Okay? So in other words, here we have a clear, it's in our face, how much consciousness becomes reality, becomes your experience. Because God did not want Elisha, his thoughts are totally in holiness. What is he thinking about, right? And therefore, because the worlds that were above him were in total holiness, so therefore it has to line up, and there's not going to be anything unholy passing before his conscious, his eyes. He will not have an experience, a negative experience, okay? And the same things with all the rest of the whole animals that are unclean or pure, they would also not pass before him, okay? Now there's three aspects we just have now. This is where he doesn't go into the details. One is obviously pure thoughts. Two, impure thoughts. And then there's the middle. The question is, what is the middle? And how big is it? Okay? How big is that middle? Okay? It's not pure. How do you know? Here's where, okay, it comes to the question. Above this, yesh olam ha-seichel. Above from all of this is the olam ha-seichel. We'll call it the world of the intellect. That there's nobody who can grasp it. And this is what it means. Okay, there was a certain student of Hillel. The student of Hillel, his name was Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel. There are many students of Hillel. The highest student of Hillel, they say, was Rabbi Yonatan ben Uziel. They say he was married for a very short time. Or some people say he wasn't married at all. He was married to the Torah. In other words, he was so engrossed. This guy was such on a high plane. Okay? Before he was buried, before he died, he says, make sure you put my grave far out of town. Put it away from like most civilization. And anybody who comes and visits my grave, he will see his soulmate within a year. It's above Tzfat. Okay? His grave. And people go to him all the time, except they take the cheap way. They go by taxi, rental car, or I don't know if Uber exists there. Okay? You're supposed to walk. I walked it. Okay? I did the walk. Okay?
And how long did it take?
About 2 hours. Not so long.
No, to find.
To find what? Well, I had to wait till she grew up. I was like 20 and she was 11. So God's going like, you can pray all you want, man, but you just keep praying. I love it. I love your praying, but you just got to wait. You just got to wait, right? You ain't cooked, and this one certainly ain't cooked. Okay, so you just got to wait. Okay. The idea real here is what does it mean now, thoughts of Kedusha? That's what you have to get into. So according to the thoughts, it's going to be a lineup of worlds. And that whole influx of whatever the experience is going to be based on your thoughts and the worlds that stand above you, and that's going to be your experience. It's don't get too alarmed by this, because think of all the creative. Let's stick with the positive and the creative parts of what we can build. So I covered last night the whole idea of where were his thoughts. And what does it mean, thoughts of Kedusha? Kedusha literally means holiness, but what does that mean? Okay? When we say, something is holy. The simple explanation that it brings down from Chaim Lushan is it's mufshat. Mufshat means separated, outside. Okay? When we say that something is separated or outside, which means we're not influenced by it. Okay? For example, let's say just for simple, just basic, when we may say something is holy in our day and age. Let's say you have candlesticks that you light on Shabbos. They're your holy candlesticks that you light on Shabbos. You're not going to take those candlesticks and use it for, God forbid, to plug up to unplug your kitchen sink if it gets stuffed up, right? You won't do that because it has a holiness to it, has a sanctity. It's been separated for a special use. Separated for a special use, that becomes holy. Okay? So it means it doesn't get tainted by the thoughts of the world or mundane things. Can't be used for something lower. Okay? But on a higher level, what Kedusha and Tahar represents is what we talked about last week, which was basically thoughts about the Shekhinah and fixing the Shekhinah. We said we're going to talk about that, right? What is the Shekhinah? So here, because of course the idea really here is that we brought the mashal last week, that you could read it in here with the guys stuck, like arms are stuck like this, and Gehenna, and in Gan Eden they're also, in the Garden of Eden they're also stuck like this, but they could feed each other. The one thought separates all from Gehenna, the worst, to the Garden of Eden. Because why are you thinking about another? And everything is based on that. Everything is, now it's unbelievable that I think our generation is like, a lot of us intrinsically, a lot of us are working for others, generally, okay? We're all involved in giving to others. But there are a lot of people who are very still, not so. And the idea really has to go with converting our ratzon lekabel, our will to receive, into being a ratzon lahashpia, just to look at it simply, a will to bestow. So the idea of will to bestow is obviously you have to think outside yourself, right? You have to think out, right? And this is where all of our life's challenges come, right? Can we step outside of ourselves? I think we brought this whole idea about, what was that case where they were interviewing in New York for they had one position, they had 400 applicants, and they tested the applicants with the one question about the guy driving by in the rainy night, the bus stop, and there was a dying woman. She needed to go to the hospital. She wasn't dying, but she was very sick, needed to go to the hospital. There's his best buddy, his war buddy, who saved his life. And then there was this girl of his dreams, which was his, and he's got in a 2-seater. Seat for one only. You heard this before? So what does he do? They interviewed guys like this. 400 guys. What would you do? Who would you take? What would you do? Right? You drive by, rainy night, bus stop, 3 people. You take the old lady to the hospital, but your best buddy, I saved your life in Nam, man. Right? Or wherever. Okay? And then you're like, you're going to miss out on the girl of your dreams. Okay? What do you do? Right? So most people answered, only one guy answered right. Yeah. Only one guy answered right. He says, I get out of the car. I give the car to drive, my buddy to drive, put the old lady, let him go to the hospital, and I hang out at the bus stop with the girl of my dreams. Boom! He got the job. Because he took himself out of the equation. Until he stepped out of the car, right? If you're sitting in the car and your mindset is still, I'm in my car, I'm not leaving, you're thinking about yourself, right? But once he thinks out of the car, right? The solution is quite unbelievable, right? So the idea really here is stepping outside, and the important thing is developing our relationship with the Holy Shekhinah.
Thinking outside the box.
Always. So the Holy Shekhinah, what is the Shekhinah? So most people understand the Shekhinah simply as, well, when the temple stood, the Shekhinah was there. What does that mean? The divine presence. Usually it's loosely translated, the Shekhinah, as the divine presence, right?
In the feminine.
In the feminine. Our souls are feminine. My father-in-law, Alav Shalom, always referred to the soul as a she. Always. You know why? Because the soul is involved in the purpose of creation, which is to be connected to the divine, to have a relationship with God. Because before God, Before the creation, there was only God. He was alone. There wasn't a such thing as a relationship. Didn't exist. God made a creation, right? In order to bestow the best himself. He wanted something to appreciate God. We're here to just have a relationship with God. Bottom line. Okay? So the idea really here, it's called the divine experience. So people will say it's the divine presence, but in a certain sense, in a deeper sense, it's the divine experience. That is the Shekhinah. Okay? But now I'm going to go another step. Okay? Because the way I understand it with the books that I went through, and this is just a construct, it could change. I look at it like this, okay? I probably wrote it in here. We should just read it, okay? Let's just read it. I must digress a little to give a small concept about the Holy Shekhinah. It is loosely defined as the divine presence. To go a little deeper, I would like to define it as the divine experience. Because creation, in essence, us, is having a feeling and an experience of the divine. That's the goal. Everybody wants the aha. It's on page 7. There is God's light itself, the light of the Ein Sof. And then there is the creation experiencing that light. So in another sense, the Shekhinah is the vessel that is meant to be the vehicle experiencing the divine. Now remember, God, when it went upon God's mind to make a creation, he says, I want to make a creation, I want to bestow. Will to bestow. Right? Will to express. So instantly was created something that's going to receive that. Something that's going to experience that expression. That is the feminine. That is the Shekhinah. That one universal soul that was originally created. That every single thing is made out of is called the Shekhinah. So it's called the vessel. And the purpose of the vessel, to be a vehicle for experiencing the divine. The vessel is the mind and soul, us. So what I've concluded over the text I've been exposed to in the Shekhinah is, I call this, quote unquote, the collective consciousness of the Jewish people. In other words, it's not just me experiencing divine for me, because, it's really, bottom line, to take another step forward, the Shekhinah is in exile. Okay? What does that mean that the Shekhinah, the divine presence, is in exile? So classically, of course, once the temple was destroyed, we know the Shekhinah is in exile, but it's much deeper than that. Okay? Okay? It means our ability to receive the divine, our ability to have a divine experience is crippled. It's broken. Okay? So maybe you can catch a glimpse here and there.
But that's where
A small smidge of a hair of a glimpse of a right? But it's not, and even if you do, and God willing, all of us should be so connected right here and now in the most unbelievable way. But not only it's not good and that's not enough, because it has to be all of humanity. See, the Shekhinah, when we want the Shekhinah to come back to Mount Zion, when we want the Shekhinah to come back to the temple, what are we saying? What are we praying for? What are we asking? We want the door open. We want that experience. We want to taste Sinai again. Imagine, you can go in and get your Sinai experience, right? So that's what Jerusalem was about. That was what the temple was about. You can go and oh my gosh, have a whole prophetic vision. See your whole life. Know what to do. All questions answered. Amazing, huh? Just an experience and a connection of the divines just keeps you plugged in, right? So obviously when we want the Shekhinah to return to Mount Zion, we want that. We want to have that ability, not only just for us, but for the whole world. The whole world, because that's the whole goal of creation. So we're considered, and there's another phrase, we are considered the children of the Shekhinah. In other words, Bnei Israel is considered the children of the Shekhinah. Meaning the Shekhinah is our quote-unquote mother. Okay? She's the mothership. Okay? the potential collective receptacle to receive the divine, the infinite influx. Okay? Because it's mother, because it's our source, the source of all our souls, the collective consciousness of all of us together.
The divine mother.
Something cosmic. Okay?
So how does that relate to the third
Yeah.
temple?
What do you mean?
Now that they're building the third temple.
Who's building it?
It's in Jerusalem, they're building it.
They're not building it. They have all of the artifacts that they're trying to get to. They're ready,
Yeah, they're going to.
but they ain't getting no signal.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, it looks like
That's what I was
the
wondering.
signal's going backwards.
Yeah. Knowing
Because they are up, because the other dudes are up there with their shovels and their tractors trying to rip history apart.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
All meant to be.
Yeah,
Because we're not ready to receive it yet.
right.
We are not the vessel built to receive it.
We're getting worse and worse, too.
Well, in one sense, you could look at it like that, but thank God for Rabbi Nachman. Oh, thank you, God, for Rabbi Nachman. He says, it looks like that on the outside. But he says, nah, it's getting better and better. It's getting better and better. It's not like us, we get a garment and then a garment gets old and then you just get rid of it. Goodwill, right? This is like, whoa, this gets mature. Like good wine, or like a painting he's been working on, a masterpiece, weaving in the masterpiece. Okay? So it gets better. Okay? Even though it don't look like that. I agree. The world's falling apart. Right? And it's going to look like that, but don't worry. Don't worry. God, thank God for God. Okay? Okay, so here we have the divine influx, okay? It was plugged. Okay, so when there was the temple in Jerusalem, anyone could go and get that divine influx to some degree, right? It was plugging into the Sinai experience all over again, okay? Because that's really what the temple was. That's really what the Mishkan was, your permanent portable Mount Sinai experience. Since the temple has been destroyed, the Shekhinah is now in exile. Really, the first exile happened when Adam was kicked out of the Garden of Eden. Also, and because when he sinned, also he caused all of the souls that were in him, that were going to be born in later generations, fell into exile. The Olamot Bia, Bria, Yitzir, Asiya, all of these sparks fell out and flew. And it's another exile, right? Which means, what does that mean? That the Shekhinah is now in exile, which means our ability to experience the divine is impaired. Okay?
That's self-made.
Yes, but thank God we have the Torah, and we're working towards it. Yes, it is. It's self-made, but listen, Gullus is Gullus. Exile is exile, and it's exile. And trust me where I'm going to lead you right now, okay? The righteous among this earth are only involved all day long in repairing and building the vessel to build a holy Shekhinah, to bring, the holy Shekhinah out of exile, that the entire creation can partake of infinity without being overwhelmed by it. Enough said. So I'm just going to bring a little caption from Tikkunei Zohar, okay? Tikkunei Zohar written by Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, okay? It's one of the holiest books here, the Tikkunei Zohar. And there's a verse that it brings down from Shir HaShirim, the Song of Songs, that says, that Kodesh Baruch Hu, God, is mashgiach min ha'chalanot. Mashgiach meaning he pays attention. He's involved from the windows. That's the first part of the phrase. Mashgiach is like he's directing from the windows. Metzis min hacharakim, and he's peeking through the lattices. And what does it mean by peeking through the lattices? Okay? So it says here, I have to bring you something else. Well, I'll just bring these words. What does it mean that he's paying attention, he's involved, he's guiding from the windows? These are the windows of the Beit Knesset. Now the Beit Knesset they use here as more a symbolic Beit Knesset, not a synagogue, okay? More like a place where it's gathered. Here he uses it as the lower sphere of Malchut, but really the Shekhinah. In other words, God is involved in the Shekhinah. The Abba Uvenoi, Inun Bebeis Asiran. That the father and his son are imprisoned there. Okay? V'iu b'chol yoma ashkachute alayhu v'yavin lo mazonam. And every single day, he pays attention upon them and to give them food. Should I? No, it's okay. It's okay. He doesn't know. It's okay. It's all good. So now there's another caption.
Thank you.
Okay. So God is peeking through the windows of the synagogue to see what's going on. He sees people praying, and he wants to see what are they praying for. Okay? Because the bottom line is, the Shekhinah is in exile. So now it goes on another, it's okay, it doesn't bother me. Okay? So now I want you to flash forward. Okay? Actually backwards. Moshe Rabbeinu at the time that he killed the Egyptian, there's a phrase that says that at the time that he saw when the Egyptian man was beating on the Israelite man, that he looked at the man and he looked this way and he looked that way and he saw there was no man, and then he killed the Egyptian and buried him in the sand. But Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai takes it a completely different way. When he says that he looked this way and that way and he saw there was no man, it's talking about a completely different thing going on. Completely different theme. Vayifen ko v'ko, that he looked here and there. If there is somebody who is going to awaken in tshuva to break the bonds of the Shekhinah being in exile. And he saw that there was no man. In other words, nobody was being aroused in dealing with fixing the Shekhinah. Rather, he saw each person going to his way. In other words, he brings down in the Perush that there was nobody who was going to really awaken to come back to God and to deal with fixing the Shekhinah. Rather, each person was involved in taking care of himself. Right? Going on his way, praying for his own parnasa or his own livelihood, and not thinking about the Shekhinah. Okay? So it was a very strong language that God is looking for anybody. Is anybody involved in fixing the Shekhinah? Okay? So the idea really here is, what does it mean, the holy thought, or the thought of Kedusha that Elisha has? And the thought of our forefathers, and the thought of all of the holy tzaddikim. There was a great story. There's kind of hard to bring this down, but the Baal Shem Tov used to give out a lot of money. He got a lot of pleasure. It was like one of his desires. He just tzedakah. He never did like a penny left in his house. One time his wife copped a little bit. He came back with some money after working. Okay, we got to pay this to the makolet bill. The makolet is the store. We owe the store. That's the tab. We got to pay the tabs. Pay this, pay that, right? And the rest you just go ahead and give it to the poor people in the city. And she was to give everything. And the next day they were just running the tab again. That's how they operated. But just $10, $5, just to keep $5. Right? He wakes up in the middle of the night. He's studying somewhere. He wakes up everybody in the middle of the night, has them stand around the table and says, "Whoever kept that money on the table now." He knew that somebody held on. And so she goes, "What the heck's the matter with you?" Okay? She says, "Listen to me. If a penny is left in my house, right, it's like me sleeping with a rock for a pillow. It's that uncomfortable for me. I feel it in my body as if I'm sleeping my rock." I've tried it. Have you ever tried it? Have a rock for a pillow? It's not pleasant. I had a rock underneath the pillow, Tisha B'Av. I did one of those Tisha B'Av things, right? Right? No, it was not. No, it didn't go. Okay? It's like a rock for a pillow. I can't sleep. I can't function. That's the pain. It has to be gone. So he didn't live with a lot of cash in his pockets. Okay? And one time he went and visited this rich man to get a donation. He's with his son. And they went and go into this house to get a donation. And of course, in the rich man, he's got one of those china closets full with silver goblets and silver. And the kid's going, and he's eyeing it. The kid's going, eyeing it. And he says, listen, he said to his son, listen, it's really most important to be involved in spiritual things instead of physical things. We don't do that. Now, it's hard for us. It's a big test for us, okay? I know a lot of guys who like shiny things. So, but the thing is to shift. To shift here, I'm going to give a little bit of another idea here to how to shift. Okay? The idea here is to get outside yourself and develop. This whole book, by the way, Tikkun Zohar, is about you relating to the Shekhinah. Your relationship to the Shekhinah. Everything is leading you. Are you fixing the Shekhinah? Okay? Where are your thoughts? Okay? And you can't do it without emunah. Because you have to believe everything comes from God. So the Baal Shem Tov, like he says here, maybe I have it a little later on, okay? He was walking in the Shekhinah. Every single thing was the divine. He was walking in the divine. His experience was, I'm walking in the cloud of the Shekhinah. And I'm dealing with people, but they're all coming from the Shekhinah. This is the Shekhinah in this form. God has unlimited expressions. And everything's part of the unlimited expression of God that I'm experiencing throughout my day. And if there's something that I need to fix, and that's why we have the small aleph of a Vayikra. This week's Parsha, you'll notice in the Sefer Torah, the small aleph. Very strange, small aleph. Right? In our tradition, it has to be small. And I'm not going to get into why it's small, but they say from this verse, the Baal Shem Tov learned all of his refuot, all of his manners of healing. He was able to heal people with unbelievable things. And he didn't have to do much stuff to heal them. Okay? Didn't have to. But he learned it all from this small olive, or the whole Vayikra Hashem El Moshe, right? Vayikra Elav, right? That he called to him, right? Or it was like Vayikra El Moshe. Sorry, I've just lost it. Every single thing he learned from that small, because why? It was the aspect of ayin. He was able to go ahead and get in the consciousness of nothingness. In other words, nothingness in terms of himself, ani afar va'efer, and he's only involved in fixing the Shekhinah. So when we would walk into a person who was sick, he would notice the limb or whatever that person was. He would recognize it. His experiences was, oh my gosh, the Shekhinah has a stomach ache, and he would pray for the stomach of the Shekhinah. And then we would pray for the Shekhinah, that God should heal the Shekhinah. So then it would reverberate to this woman getting a healing down below. Just like the worlds you are above, so are the worlds are below. If you're connected to holiness. It's all about, okay? The idea really is to step out of ourselves. Now, the idea really here is that how do you start to do that, okay? The idea, the method really to start to do that is it's all in the thoughts. It's all about your thoughts. It's all about your thinking. And the thought that I think a lot of time is I get into working on experiencing the pain of a Kadosh Baruch Hu. What do you mean? Because, God, He wants to connect with us more than we want to connect with Him. And if you can step out of yourself, and if you can step out of our own little stuff for a moment and feel the pain of God, who nothing more than He wants. He could heal us. He could take care of us. He wants to give us unbelievable shefa, unbelievable stuff. Only good, only love, only connection, the best of everything. That's the only thing He ever wants. And if we'd only try to experience that pain just for a moment, right? How much is God suffering? I had that reflected back to me, and I heard it the instant I got it. After my son died, I was in Israel. There was somebody else who was in the same ICU unit with us, whose son, a religious man, that guy was a holy as the holies, right? You could see it on his face. And he had a 2-year-old son who also was just about to pass. And I was already in Israel after the funeral, and I get a phone call, and he says, "You and me, we both have children in heaven, invited to the holy yeshiva on high, right? Study house with the Kodesh Baruch Hu." And and I was started to share my pain with him, and he says, "Now you know what God feels." And as soon as you said that, I just totally couldn't. You can't not accept it, because God feels that pain. Why would He give me such a pain? He wanted me to. Now you know what I feel like when my sons are lost, and my sons go astray, and my children are, whatever situation, and they ain't thinking about me. They ain't thinking about me, right? So now you know. So the idea really is just to get a simple sense of it. So Elisha, the prophet, he was totally involved in fixing the Shekhinah. And more and more and more and more and more and more and more. And all of the Avos were involved in that, and all the holy tzaddikim were involved in that. So I've just made a little tip of the iceberg here, just to get a little bit of a glimpse here of what the Shekhinah is. Our ability to receive the divine. If it's a less than pleasant experience, what does that mean? The Shekhinah is in exile. Mazel tov. You get to pray for God to take the Shekhinah out of exile. You hear about this person having this bad time or this hard, situation, the Shekhinah is in exile. Or this person who is like so stupid. Why do they keep doing that? They keep, oh my gosh, right? Why don't they just get it? How come they don't get it, right? Just do this and everything will be... No, they don't get it. They're still wallowing in their mud. Shekhinah is in exile. Your experience, if it's less than, thank you, God, which it should be that way anyways, right. Even that, you have to, thank you, God. Shekhinah is in exile. Okay? You have a question, Jane?
Yeah, going about it in negative ways, I do the opposite. I look at all the beauty and the gifts God's given us, and that's how I can act.
Always be in gratitude. Okay?
How can you not?
Okay, good.
I'm
You're
closed.
You're
of the world.
Some people are not as advanced as
Let me
you.
give you an example. This is a crazy example. I was working in Genesis. Well, are we being recorded? I won't.
No, I'm not recording you.
Okay.
I just spoke for 20 minutes and I didn't record it. How do you like that? Because I forget. Because if somebody asks me and I take my thumb off, I'm gone. That's the reality. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. I got it on film though. What? Go on.
Is it audio?
No, it's not audio.
Okay. So this is not people. I don't want this recorded. Okay. So I was working at Genesis yesterday, and we were being clobbered with. It's very good. Huge orders. Big, and we had a party going that they were preparing for. It was challenging. They did a gorgeous job. It was going to be challenging, but they were amazingly staffed. And I came back later after class, and I had to tell them how fantastic they were. It was fab. I oversee country.
Fantastic. What a great experience. Thank you.
I had to go back and tell them, I said, David, you have to know, this was the most fabulous. I mean, I just was gorgeous. Watching them all work like orchestra members playing a symphony and doing their best and creative and beautiful what they turned out. It was amazing. I said, and I drove home and said, you know what? It's God in that restaurant.
Thank you. Good. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. Okay. All right, let's go on. Okay. Being present, okay? For many people in our generation, the biggest challenge is to stay present. Most people's minds are dwelling on mistakes of the past or worries of the future. We've discussed that already. Or for many, their situation in the present is not that appealing. Many often are aching to get out of their present situation, whether it be a job, a relationship, or a living space. So, of course, their thoughts and souls will be elsewhere. That's the main thing. Okay? Sometimes we find ourselves in a situation when someone is pouring out their souls, their hearts and souls to tell us their life's problems and challenges. Right? They're sharing their deep issues and we might be feeling an urge to be somewhere else. We are not present with the person. Obviously, according to the rules of the specific divine providence, it is meant to be that we are there with this person before us, right? It's meant to be. It's just one of the expressions of the Shekhinah in exile. If our minds wander to other places, then that is where our soul is. How could we do such a thing, right? How can you not be present if someone else is pouring out their heart and soul to you? Perhaps if our soul would also be there, we would rejoice that we are fulfilling our life's purpose.
Yes.
The Holy Masters were actually living that moment as the Shekhinah. This is actually the healing technique of the Baal Shem Tov, like I shared with you, when he would visit the sick, right? Or people would come to him. Whatever was ailing the person before him, he would feel that pain in the Shekhinah. He would pray. In other words, it's a bigger global thing. You got to step out of yourself. He would pray on behalf of the Shekhinah, right? That the increasing infinite one would manifest, bring relief, and fill the void. Then it would reverberate to a manifestation below with the person before him, and he or she would be healed. Okay? So I put note 13. I think the key is really emunah, faith, to believe that God wants us to be in that situation with that challenge, whatever it might be. From here, first you thank God. Thank you, God, for this situation. And then you yearn and you pray for a higher experience. It's kind of two sides on the same two-sided coin. One is you have to thank for the here and now. Absolutely. It's for the very best. On the other side, you're allowed to yearn for a higher experience for you and everybody. Okay? It's like you got to live in two simultaneous realities at the same time. Okay? I had a great story with one of my favorite stories of the Baal Shem Tov. You know, like I say, he used to heal people, and it wasn't like a big schlep. There was one guy who came to him. His daughter, she became paralyzed from the waist down. His young daughter. And of course, no doctors could heal her. No one could do anything. He finally decided, as his wife's prompting, go to the Baal Shem Tov, right? And he took a bag full of gold coins, says, okay, I'll go. Right? And he goes and he leaves his daughter in the carriage, in the courtyard. Right? The Baal Shem Tov his office is facing the courtyard, of course. He goes in the house. He's got to wait in line a little bit, take a number. Right? He finally gets in facing the Baal Shem Tov. He says, here, I gave you this. Here, maybe you could do something for my daughter. So the Baal Shem Tov, he's smoking his pipe, his holy pipe, right? And he takes the gold coins. He goes out to the window and he throws it out the window. He says, I don't want you and your gold coins. Get out. The guy was shocked. The guy's like, holy man, big healer. So he goes out and he leaves and he opens the door to go back to his carriage and he sees his daughter. She's walking around picking up all the gold coins. She's walking. And he sees her and he says, quick, get in the car. Forget the coins. Get in the carriage. Right? And he's getting her in the carriage. She's getting in the carriage because I don't want anybody to think that it was that guy that healed her. And he turns and the Baal Shem Tov's in the window smiling like this. Right? Right? Didn't take much. Right? It's all about the Shekhinah. Okay? Let's just go a little bit more, if I could beg your indulgence, okay? The Baal Shem Tov, okay? Of course, this is going on a different thing in terms of the importance of our thoughts, because that's what really, I think, the title of this chapter is called, right? Right? Chapter 2, the importance. In the beginning of Parshas Ki Tavo, Hashem commands us to take the first fruits and bring them to the Cohen as a thanksgiving offering to God. The question I had when I read this was, why the Torah commanded us to offer the first of our produce and not the best? Because, the ceremony would be, is if you wake up in the morning and you go out to your orchard and you saw the first fruits budding, you had to go ahead and tie a little gumi around it, a little wing-ding thing, an orange thing or whatever, color ribbon, right? Yellow ribbon, right? Right? Wasn't oak, okay? So you tie whatever ribbon around so you'd know which were the first fruits. So when the first fruits would finally ripen, you put them all in a basket. You line them up so perfectly. And the whole village would go in this huge procession through Jerusalem to the temple and you offer it to the priest. Unbelievable experience. But these are the first fruits, not necessarily the best. Why? Why the first have to go to God? The first, okay? Right? The first of the produce may not be the best of the crop. What's so important about the first? The Baal Shem Tov explains that the importance of the first is that it is the root and foundation of all that follows. For example, the foundation of a building must be totally and completely perfect. A small crack in the foundation endangers the entire building, whereas that same crack in the fourth floor would not be so significant. Similarly, if we want something to be holy, its beginning must be holy and pure. We must recognize first that all our success comes from the Creator. May His name increase. There must be acknowledgement of the infinite source. Therefore, we dedicate all first. It doesn't have to be the best. It's the first. It's the first. We dedicate all first to God to firmly establish the foundation and root of all that follows. So along with the first fruits, there are also the mitzvah of giving the firstborn of all kosher animals.
Redemption.
If it's not a kosher animal, like a donkey, you have to redeem it because donkeys can't be offered. But if it's a goat, it has to be offered. Okay? As well as firstborn males, okay? We have to do a pidyon haben for a firstborn human, right? If it's not from a Levi or a Cohen, even on the mother's side. Right? If it's a firstborn that is an Israelite, it has to, after 30 days, you have to give me 5 silver shekels. Okay? I'm the Cohen. Acting Cohen. So far. The Besh says that whatever your first thought is in that particular day stays with you the rest of the day. You have to really be aware of the first thought of the day. You have to grab it before it gets you. Okay? That's where the whole battle is going to start, is when you first wake up in the morning. It's either your Yetzer Hara is there to get you, or you initiate the ultimate dynamic, Modeh Lifanecha. I give thanks to you. I got my soul again. As I'm going to share with you the unbelievable thought, okay? It sets the pace for the rest of the day. The beginning of anything sets the pace for the rest of it. So what energy are you producing in that first thought, right? Oh, gosh, I got a meeting. Oh, I got to meet that person. Oh. As we have mentioned earlier, it is estimated that a person thinks between 60 to 100,000 thoughts a day, 90% of which are habitual, right? Whether negative or positive, were the same thoughts that we were thinking the day before. Well, when you wake up every morning, what do you think? Oh, what a beautiful day it is. Or, it's 6 o'clock, give me 5 more minutes. Okay.
Maybe both.
Yeah, it depends on the attitude, okay? It's the energy, it's what tone. What I say, what tone? Ding! What tone are we setting for our day by having a negative thought first thing in the morning? These are the first fruits. What if the first thought of the day was like this? And this is what my dad, when he's told my Rosh Hashiva, my dad, after it wasn't a trace of a brain tumor, goes and I take him to a meeting with my rabbi, my Rosh Hashiva, the head of the school, right? He was visiting LA, and they're facing each other. And my dad says, you know, I wake up in the morning saying, I could hardly wait to see the beautiful blessings that God is going to bring to me today. They almost fell out of their chair. They were like, whoa. Because imagine yourself now saying that. And how's the rest of your day going to go? I can hardly wait to see the beautiful blessings that Hashem will bring to my life today. Okay? Now imagine that's the first thought of the day. Very important. Okay? If you could muster up to say it with conviction, imagine how much better your day would be because of it. Okay? We're going to stop here. Okay? We'll get a little bit more about Havdalah next week. Okay?